Welcome, listeners, to what might just be the most important conversation you'll have with yourself today. This is The Social Lens by Skoob, your favorite podcast covering all things society and your place in it. I'm your host, Beatrice Goodwin, and today I'm about to share something that will fundamentally change how you understand the voice in your head, that relentless critic that whispers doubt into your ear just when you need confidence most. Picture this. You're about to give a presentation at work, and suddenly a voice pipes up. You're going to embarrass yourself. Everyone will see you're a fraud. Or maybe you're considering asking someone out, and that same voice chimes in. They'll never be interested in someone like you. Sound familiar? Today, we're going on a journey to understand not just what this inner critic is doing to you, but how it's literally rewiring your brain and body in ways that might shock you. More importantly, we're going to learn how to fight back and win. Let's start with a truth that most people never realize. Your brain can't tell the difference between an imaginary threat and a real one. Think about that for a moment. When your inner critic launches into its familiar tirade about how you're going to fail, your brain responds as if a lion just walked into the room. This isn't just some psychological theory. It's measurable, physical reality. Professional athletes have known this secret for years. They'll tell you that mental preparation often outweighs even the most rigorous physical training. Why? Because psychological negativity doesn't just hurt your feelings. It literally hijacks your body. When that inner voice starts its attack, your brain activates what scientists call the threat response, better known as fight or flight. Imagine a zebra being chased by a lion. Its body floods with stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. Heart rate skyrockets, breathing accelerates, muscles tense for action, vision sharpens. Every resource gets redirected toward immediate survival. Here's where it gets fascinating and terrifying. Your body does the exact same thing when you criticize yourself. But here's the catch. While the zebra can outrun the lion and return to grazing peacefully, your inner critic never stops chasing you. It's a predator that lives inside your own mind. David Rock, founder of the Neuro Leadership Institute, discovered something remarkable about what happens when we're in this chronic threat state. Our brains literally shut down the very functions we need most: analytical thinking, creativity, problem solving. It's like trying to write poetry while running from a bear. Your brain simply doesn't have the resources for both. But the damage goes even deeper. When your body is constantly preparing for attack, it shuts down what it considers non-essential systems. Muscle repair, shut down. Digestion, offline. Immune system, sorry, no resources available. Your body is essentially eating itself alive to fuel a fight against an enemy that exists only in your thoughts. And here's something that will make you rethink every social interaction you've ever had. This internal negativity becomes visible to everyone around you. You know that moment when you say something and immediately think, that was stupid? Your face actually changes. You might wince, your expression tightens, your entire demeanor shifts. You can't control it because it happens faster than conscious thought. The person you're talking to sees this change and interprets it as a reaction to them or something they said. So your inner critic isn't just sabotaging your performance, it's sabotaging your relationships too. One executive confided that roughly 80% of his workday was consumed by battling his inner critic. 80%. Imagine what he could accomplish if even half of that energy was redirected toward actual work. So what exactly is this inner critic, and why is it so powerful? Think of it as a master manipulator that's had years to study your every weakness, fear, and insecurity. It knows exactly which buttons to push and when to push them. The moment you feel a flicker of optimism or self-confidence, it pounces, extinguishing that light before it can grow into a flame. The critic is cunning in its timing. Just when you're about to take on a new challenge, apply for that promotion, start that business, ask someone on a date, it strikes with surgical precision. You're not qualified for this. You'll just fail like you always do. Who are you kidding? You're not good enough. Every task becomes monumental under its shadow. Taking responsibility becomes terrifying because the critic has convinced you that action only leads to failure. It creates a prison of inaction where you're too paralyzed by doubt to even try. And in that prison, the critic feeds and grows stronger. But here's the thing about inner critics, and this is crucial. They're incredibly powerful, but they're also surprisingly fragile. They're like schoolyard bullies who crumble the moment someone stands up to them. The key is learning how to fight back effectively. The first step in this battle is recognition. You need to become a detective of your own mind, learning to spot the critic in action. This might sound simple, but it's actually quite challenging because the critic's voice often feels like your own authentic thoughts. It's been with you so long that you've forgotten there was ever a time when it wasn't there. Start by paying attention to the narrative running in your head. What story is it telling about you? How do these thoughts make you feel? Initially, you might struggle to engage with a voice that evokes such intense negative emotions, and that's completely normal. The critic thrives in darkness, operating below the level of conscious awareness. But here's what happens when you start shining a light on it. You begin to see patterns. Maybe your critic is most active on Sunday nights before a work week. Perhaps it gets particularly vicious when you're around certain people or in specific situations. Some people notice their critic has a particular tone. Maybe it sounds like a disappointed parent or a harsh teacher from their past. The more you observe without judgment, the clearer the picture becomes. You start to realize that this voice isn't you. It's something that's been layered on top of who you really are, often through difficult experiences or challenging upbringings. Once you can recognize the critic's voice, it's time for step 2, challenging its authority. Here's a revolutionary thought. Your inner critic has never, not once, told you the truth. Think about that. Despite its air of authority and certainty, it has a perfect record of being wrong. The critic operates on fear, not facts. When it tells you that nobody at the party will like you, ask for evidence. When you do, you'll remember the friends you already have, the positive interactions you've had with strangers, the times people have sought out your company. The critic's claims crumble under even basic scrutiny. Let's say you're considering a career change, and the critic whispers, "You're too old to start over." Challenge it. Ask, based on what evidence? You might remember stories of people who found success later in life, or realize that your experience actually gives you advantages younger candidates don't have. The critic relies on your acceptance of its authority. The moment you start demanding proof, you'll discover it's been bluffing all along. It's like the Wizard of Oz, terrifying and all-powerful, until you pull back the curtain and see there's nothing there but smoke and mirrors. Step 3 is reframing, taking those negative thought patterns and transforming them into something neutral and productive. This isn't about forced positivity or pretending everything is perfect. It's about accuracy and fairness. When your boss gives you an unfamiliar task and the critic says, "You can't do this because you've never done it before," reframe it. "This is new territory, and while it might be challenging, I'm going to give it my best effort and see what I can learn." Same situation, completely different energy. The reframe acknowledges reality. Yes, it's new and potentially challenging, while removing the doom and judgment. Instead of, "I always mess things up," try, "I've made mistakes before, and I've also had successes. Let me focus on doing my best with this particular situation." This isn't just positive thinking, it's accurate thinking. The critic deals in absolutes. Always, never, completely, totally. Reality is much more nuanced and forgiving. Step 4 might be my favorite, documenting the critic's failures. Since the inner critic can never provide legitimate evidence for its claims, because they're false, you're going to build your own collection of counter-evidence. Start a journal dedicated to recording every disparaging remark your critic makes. Write down the specific prediction or judgment. Then, as life unfolds, document what actually happens. You'll be amazed at how consistently wrong the critic is. You'll embarrass yourself in that presentation, gets followed by, presentation went well, received positive feedback from 3 colleagues. Nobody will want to hire someone like you, gets countered by, received 2 interview requests this week. Over time, you'll build an undeniable record of the critic's incompetence. Whenever it tries to derail you with doom and gloom, you can refer to your evidence file as proof of its complete unreliability. It's like having a court record of a witness who's perjured themselves repeatedly. Their credibility is permanently destroyed. Step 5 is perhaps the most transformative, becoming your own biggest fan. Think about how you felt about a favorite celebrity, athlete, or role model when someone criticized them unfairly. You probably rushed to their defense, highlighting their strengths and achievements. You need to do the same for yourself. When the critic says, "You're terrible at public speaking and will never get hired," immediately counter with, "Actually, I'm quite good at communicating, and you're literally the only voice saying otherwise." Whatever weakness the critic tries to emphasize, neutralize it by highlighting your strengths and positive attributes. This isn't arrogance, it's balance. The critic has been providing a one-sided, distorted view of reality. You're simply correcting the record and providing fair representation for yourself. Now let's talk about building a foundation that makes you critic-proof. Many people struggling with low self-esteem believe negative messages about themselves with deep, unquestioning conviction. These beliefs often become so ingrained that they seem like absolute truth. Sometimes these beliefs were planted during challenging upbringings, when critical voices from the outside became internalized. Other times, they develop from limited life experience, like thinking your high school social status defines your worth forever, when in reality, those concerns often seem trivial with age and perspective. Here's a crucial paradox about self-esteem. On one hand, every individual has intrinsic worth that doesn't depend on their achievements or others' approval. Self-esteem is an internal condition, not something you earn or that others can grant you. On the other hand, your behaviors and choices do impact how you feel about yourself, specifically whether your life aligns with your personal values. Self-esteem flourishes when there's harmony between where your life is and where you want it to be. When there's discord, when you're living in ways that contradict your deepest values, self-esteem naturally diminishes. Maybe you value creativity, but you're stuck in a job that offers no creative outlet. Perhaps you value connection, but you've isolated yourself from meaningful relationships. Or you might value health, but you've neglected your physical well-being. The solution isn't to change your values. It's to gradually align your actions with what matters most to you. This takes time. Sweeping life changes don't happen overnight. But even formulating a basic plan to address the misalignment can immediately boost your self-esteem. The key is approaching this work from a foundation of self-acceptance, not self-criticism. If you try to make changes while believing you're fundamentally worthless, you'll approach every goal seeking external validation rather than internal satisfaction. This creates fragile, temporary confidence that crumbles under pressure. Certain actions naturally support healthy self-esteem. Think of these as practices that tell your subconscious mind, "I matter and I'm worth taking care of." These include thinking independently and taking responsibility for your life choices, living in alignment with your values, even when others disapprove, being authentic, even if it's not always popular, respecting yourself and asserting your rights when necessary. It also means living constructively, exercising regularly, forming meaningful connections, managing your finances responsibly, and engaging in work that feels significant to you. These aren't arbitrary rules. They're ways of treating yourself like someone who matters. Conversely, certain actions erode self-esteem, blindly following others' prescriptions for your life, betraying your deeply held values, hiding your true self for approval, letting others undermine you, living destructively through substance abuse or isolation, or staying in work that feels meaningless. The specific emphasis will vary from person to person. Someone might lose self-esteem in unfulfilling work, while another person is comfortable with any job as long as they maintain their independence. The key is knowing your own values and honoring them consistently. Accepting challenges and achieving personal goals intrinsically boosts confidence. But this isn't about becoming perfect or achieving everything you attempt. It's about developing self-efficacy, the belief in your general competence and ability to adapt to life's circumstances. When you tackle something difficult and see it through to completion, you prove to yourself that you're capable of growth and change. This builds a track record of resilience that becomes harder for the inner critic to argue against. The goals themselves matter less than the process of setting them and following through. Maybe it's learning a new skill, improving your health, strengthening a relationship, or advancing in your career. Each success builds evidence against the critic's claims of your incompetence. Your environment profoundly impacts your self-esteem. Someone working in a degrading job or surrounded by people who constantly undermine them will struggle to maintain positive self-regard, no matter how strong their internal foundation. While ideally self-esteem shouldn't depend on others' opinions, the reality is that constant negativity wears people down. If you're surrounded by people who belittle you, criticize you, or dismiss your dreams, that external criticism will eventually merge with your internal voice. This is why improving toxic relationships, or removing them entirely when necessary, is crucial for mental health. Seek out friendships and partnerships that are supportive and encouraging. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and cheer for your success. Sometimes, life delivers blows that activate every negative voice we've been working to silence. Breakups are perfect examples. They can unleash a flood of self-criticism and doubt that threatens to wash away all the progress we've made. I want to share a story about navigating this kind of heartbreak with grace. After a significant breakup, you might be astounded by how eager people are to speak negatively about your former partner. Friends and family mean well, but resist the urge to join in this chorus of criticism. Remember that at one point, this person was someone you deeply loved. You shared significant parts of your life together. Perhaps you lived together, raised children, shared pets, or were married. Engaging in negativity about them serves no purpose for you or anyone else. It only feeds the critical voices and keeps you stuck in toxic energy. Equally challenging is when people question your decision to end a relationship, implying you've made a mistake or let go of someone irreplaceable. This can instill serious self-doubt, but you must remain steadfast. Trust your heart and the thoughtful process that led to your decision. Instead of dwelling on what went wrong, make it a practice to write down 3 qualities or moments you cherished with your partner. Maybe you recall their generosity, humor, or kindness. Perhaps you remember unforgettable experiences, your wedding day, a vacation, or simple Sunday movie rituals. Keep this list visible as a reminder that while your love might be different now, the affection that once existed between you was real and valuable. This practice keeps you connected to your emotions and prevents your inner critic from dominating your thoughts with stories about failure and inadequacy. Every relationship, regardless of how it ends, contributes to personal growth and offers rich lessons. Use this time for deep reflection. Consider what you learned about yourself, your values, and what you want from life. Think about the insights you gained regarding love, partnership, and sharing life with another person. This reflection isn't about analyzing what went wrong or assigning blame. It's about extracting wisdom and developing gratitude for the experience itself. Even painful experiences contribute to who you're becoming. During this difficult time, adopt the mantra, "I learn life's lessons with ease and grace." This affirmation acknowledges that while life's lessons may be challenging, your experience of them depends on your response. Choosing ease and grace over immediate pleasure creates dignity in difficulty and resilience that carries you through until you're ready for joy again. Once you've spent time in introspection and drawn lessons from your experience, there's a final step that might surprise you: expressing gratitude toward your past partner. During meditation or quiet reflection, visualize them standing before you. Send them gratitude for the lessons learned and the time you shared together. This practice might stir intense emotions. Let them flow. The goal isn't to minimize your pain or pretend everything was perfect. It's to complete the relationship energetically, acknowledging both the love that existed and the growth that resulted from its ending. This visualization creates closure and fosters peace as you move forward. It's a way of saying, "Thank you for being part of my story, and I wish you well in yours." This level of grace transforms heartbreak into wisdom and bitterness into compassion. While we're building these deeper foundations, there are also immediate tools you can use when the inner critic gets particularly loud. These are temporary mood boosters that can provide relief while you're doing the deeper work. Remind yourself of positive traits and past accomplishments. Repeat affirmations like, "I love and approve of myself," or "I have many strengths." Display confident body language, even when you don't feel confident. Dress nicely, engage in self-care, treat yourself with kindness. These techniques are like taking an aspirin for a headache. They provide relief, but don't address the underlying condition. Used in moderation, they are beneficial, but don't rely on them exclusively, as excessive use can make them ineffective or lead to superficial thinking that ignores deeper issues. And there you have it. Congratulations on taking a powerful step. You now understand how to recognize and disarm your inner critic, a skill most never learn. But be warned, the critic will try to come back. It'll whisper that this won't work, that you're different, that you're broken. Don't fall for it. You've seen behind the mask. You know how to challenge the lies, reframe the narrative, and stand up for yourself. But here's a question. What if that voice was never really yours? What if you've been living under someone else's story this whole time? To uncover the full truth and dive deeper into how you reclaim your voice, download the Skoob app now to get access to the full story. Head on to the App Store or Play Store and listen to the full story for free. The critic's reign is ending. Your real story is just beginning.